Welcome back to Great Day. If you're single, sometimes dating can feel less like a fairy tale, but for many people, it's more like a horror movie. Between ghosting, bad dates, and people who act like monsters, it's enough to make someone just give up. Author Rory Uphold turns all of that into a fresh, empowering take on modern love in her new book, A Final Girl's Guide to the Horrors of Dating. She joins us to share why mindset matters, how to stop settling, and how to be the final girl in your own love story. Good morning.
Good morning. That was such a lovely intro. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. And a lot of it comes from your own experience, and also you've curated experiences for so many other people with your podcast. But let's start with what we mean by a final girl.
That's such a great question. Okay, so for people that aren't familiar with horror, I think we all know that in every horror movie, there's normally one woman that survives, and that's the final girl. And while the book sounds like I might be a cynic on love, I'm not. I actually want to help everyone fall in love. But if you look online, the conversation around dating is pretty negative. It's a horror show, it's a nightmare, it's a hellscape. And I'm like, okay, if that is the case, then be the final girl. Be the metaphorical final girl that survives. And in order to do that, what's one thing that all final girls have? Belief. They believe they're going to make it to the end.
Yeah.
And that is truly why I believe that like mindset is so crucial.
Yeah. And the other thing they have, they can run in high heels. As opposed to making, they don't fall down and not give up. No, but yeah, they can run in the high heels.
But like you said, they don't give up.
Yeah.
I think that that's so important. They don't give up. If we apply that to our own love lives, you have to believe that love is out there for you.
Yeah.
If you don't believe that it exists and you're walking around talking about how all the good ones are taken or that dating is the worst, that will become your reality.
Yeah. The other thing that your book does
like spells.
is that you say don't give up, but the other thing your book does is points out stop chasing the silly stuff that always ends up bad, right? So just get rid of that and focus on just the good stuff. And then your chances are higher of finding that love. All right, a bad date sparked this book for you.
Yes. Just coincidentally, I went on a very bad date to Halloween Horror Nights, and I realized very quickly that of all the terrifying, scary things at Halloween Horror Nights, the biggest monster was my date, and the scariest thing was how much of a willing participant I was. I always say never shop hungry. If you've ever gone to the grocery store hungry, you might come home and go, what did I buy? I made all of these terrible choices. And I think that that applies to our love life. When you have a full meal waiting for you at home, you are far less likely to settle for crumbs. And I found myself surrounded by all of this horrifying Halloween stuff, settling for crumbs in what I can only describe as a rock bottom, terrifying moment. And that was the moment I decided I need to make some changes in my life.
Yeah. Okay, so we actually found that guy that you had that first date with, sir, come on in. And he just wanted to say that he wanted to explain his side.
Rory.
Yeah, right. No, just joking. No, Ralph is married, happily married. All right. But, you mentioned that thing about you just kind of went along with it. And I find that so many times women, we're just by nature, I know some people might beat me up about this, but by nature, I think a lot of times women are accommodating. My friends who will say, okay, so I have this date, I'm buying this new dress. I'm like, why do we need a new dress? He's never seen the other dress you have that's perfectly fine, right? But we almost present ourselves and think, do you like us? As opposed to also expecting that person to present themselves to us as well and see if you like them. So it's a two-way street there if you're gonna look at a real relationship, right? Okay, all right, so to become the final girl, certain things you need to do, break the toxic dating patterns.
I think that this is one thing that a lot of people might not love to hear, but if you do not take accountability for your role in your love life, whether that's been good or bad, it's going to be very hard for you to change the course of it going forward, because if nothing changes, nothing changes. And in order to make change, you have to look at your role in it. And I think that I'll speak for myself. I participated in settling. And the only way to make sure you don't get what you want is to settle. But if I hadn't had the insight to look inward and go, well, what's my role in this? What has my role been in the horror? Then I wouldn't have made the changes that ultimately got me to where I wanted to be.
Yeah, and this next one I think is something that it just generationally there's more acceptance today, and that's shake off the shame and societal pressures around being single. But what we're looking at today, and my son's 22, so I talked to some of his friends, and their thing is, I'm in no rush because I don't have to be. Number one, I can freeze my eggs if I want to, if my whole point is to have kids. But they're also like, I want to focus on my career, and I get a chance to do that because that's what I saw my mom do, or saw generations before me do. So things are a little interesting right now. But still, you're absolutely right. It's always like, are you dating anyone? Oh. Like something's wrong with you if you're not dating someone.
Yeah, and I think that goes, I really dive deep into this in my book, and our ideas, where do our ideas of love come from, and what does a successful relationship actually mean to you, and why is it that we think that marriage is supposed to be celebrated, but a divorce isn't? And so I love that you're talking about those things, and I absolutely think that dating has changed for the younger generation. I personally believe that millennials were the final girls of love and dating. And that so many people are sick of trying to be chosen. And instead, the focus is now on learning how to choose.
Yeah, because being chosen is passive.
Yes, and also then if something doesn't work out in your romantic quest, it feels like self-blame. It feels like you did something wrong. And I think that's when that inner critic starts to run wild. And it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy of dread.
Yeah. Let me wrap up with, we only have a few seconds left. Valentine's Day is coming up, and there are people that will say, I hate it, which usually means they're single, right? So what do you have to say to that group?
My best advice is BYOBF, be your own best friend. I would ask you, why is it that you are so willing to settle for things that you would never want for your best friend, your sister, your mother, your loved ones? And that goes not only for in dating, but the way that you speak to yourself. Why is it that you are so quick to criticize yourself when if somebody was talking about your best friend that way, you would jump to their defense? I just want to empower people to start showing up for themselves the way that they show up for the people that they love the most.
Yeah, all right. This book presents itself, we were saying, for women, but I think guys can get a lot of that out of this too. My son's going to kill me, but I'm going to give this to him. He's 22. And if you're interested, my number is if you're a good girl, no. And he's a good guy. He's just a good guy. So I'm going to have him read this book as well. But Rory, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's interesting because falling in love and being in a relationship should be the easiest thing, but sometimes it's the hardest thing for people. All right, you can get your own copy of Rory's book, A Final Girl's Guide to the Horrors of Dating, anywhere books are sold.